Welcome back. We're talking with Dr. Kelly Kimple, the Women's and Children's Health Section Chief at North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. And Doctor, we've been talking about the measles, but vaccinations just in general. From a state standpoint now, what is the state doing to help protect the kids?
Well, you know, there is a state law in place that does require all children at a certain age to have received a certain set of immunizations to make sure that we have a population that's resistant to some of these diseases. We also have a program called Vaccines for Children that allows or that provides vaccines free of charge to those that might not be vaccinated if they were unable to pay. We continue to advocate for everyone to receive the vaccinations that they're needed at a certain age. Also, in the state, you know, we even just this week, DHHS released a early childhood action plan, and part of that is really making sure that children are healthy, they're learning and ready to succeed, and they're safe and nurtured. And part of that is really making sure that babies, toddlers, and children have access to quality health care, including their families. And that includes making sure they're up to date on immunizations. And so making sure these kids get in for their checkups to make sure they're growing well, make sure they're developing well, and make sure they have those shots to protect them.
Is it, you know, for me, it's been kind of an education process. Again, I went all through this with my older kids, but now with my little one having to go through this again, there's so much I don't know. And when we were talking about vaccines again, is that one of the bigger hurdles that you have or the state has basically with making sure that parents understand and are educated, not only with vaccines, but just being healthy and getting the checkups when you need to get the checkups? Yeah,
well, I mean, you know, as you know, parenting's hard, and there's a lot to keep up with, and just the health component of that, let alone the development and all that goes along with it. And so it is trying to make sure that parents are aware and can sort through all that information that's out there. Make sure that they can, you know, that they have a trusted source that they can go to for information, such as their medical provider, and making sure that they can be an advocate for their children, but understanding that, you know, some of the things they may be concerned about, they may not have seen, you know, we're lucky, we haven't seen as many of these diseases, and so they're not really in our mind to be scared of, whereas we see every day the scary stuff on the internet. So again, it's hard to keep up with, but you want to make sure you have that balancing the risk and benefits of that, especially with vaccines.
Now, you had mentioned that the state mandates that kids are vaccinated so they go to school. But there is an out. You can opt out, can you not, for religious reasons? Are you seeing more and more of that in North Carolina? Because it's happening in other states.
Yeah, so in North Carolina, you know, we want everyone to be vaccinated, but that you can, one can have a medical exemption or a religious exemption. So a medical exemption being there's some medical reason, contraindication that a child or a person could not receive a vaccine, and that has to be certified by a licensed physician. The other is a religious exemption, and again, that's just pertaining to a religious belief. Now, in North Carolina, we do not accept personal beliefs or philosophical beliefs for vaccination exemptions. But you mentioned the trends, and again, you know, we monitor the trends in North Carolina and you know, really across the country to make sure that people are protected against these diseases. We've seen, you know, in some areas a slight increase in religious exemption rates, but some of that too is due to the improved reporting. So you talk about schools, you needing them for schools, and so we're getting more and more schools providing that report that may have more religious exemptions than we previously know because we didn't have those reports.
Do you just say, my religion doesn't allow me? Is that all you need to do? Or do you have to get that certified?
Yeah, and again, there is a form for medical exemptions. For religious exemption, a parent can submit a statement, and that statement can explain their religious beliefs related to not getting the vaccination. But again, it's not a as defined, like a defined form like the medical exemption. That parent can provide a statement to the school.
You mean, I get it. I mean, I get it. It makes sense. You know, you can eradicate measles. I had measles. For me, it wasn't a big deal, but that was a long time ago. I probably don't remember it. But there are other diseases we certainly don't want to, whooping coughs. You don't want your kid to get a lot of these diseases. Do you find it silly, a silly argument that some people are making when it comes to not wanting to vaccinate their kid? Or do you take it seriously when you hear this from these individuals? What kind of concerns are they presenting to the doctors?
Yeah, well, I mean, you always take, parents trying to do what's best for their child. So you take
Sure.
Any of their concerns seriously and trying to make sure what really is at the heart of that, and to have that dialogue with them about why they're concerned, what they've heard, what are the risks, and helping them understand that, all of us in the community, is really our responsibility to protect those that might not be able to be immunized, protect our children, protect our community, and to get those vaccinations and trying to get to the bottom of what their concerns might be.
Doctor, what a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking time for us.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Stick around. When we return, a family practitioner will tell us exactly what to ask our doctor when it comes to vaccines.